If you're trying to pick a Portugal Golden Visa fund, this video is going to save you somewhere between 50,000 euros and your entire 500,000 euro investment. There are over 50 funds approved by the Portugal Golden Visa regulator right now, and I'm going to give you the exact framework I use with clients to figure out which one actually fits you. Here's what most people believe: that picking a Golden Visa fund is about comparing projected returns, checking that it's CMVM regulated, and going with whichever one your advisor recommends. That's the conventional wisdom, and it's almost completely wrong. Projected returns are marketing. The CMVM badge just means the paperwork is legal. It tells you nothing about whether the fund is good. And your advisor is probably getting paid a commission by the fund they're recommending, which means the shortlist you're seeing has nothing to do with what's right for you. Pending applicants keep the 5-year pathway. This video's 5 filter framework still applies either way, but if you're a new applicant, plan for a 10-year horizon. I run Movingto. We've worked with hundreds of Golden Visa investors. We track all 50 plus approved funds, and we have licensed Portuguese lawyers running independent legal verification on every single one of them. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 filters that actually matter in the order that matters, and the one question nobody asks that determines whether you pick the right fund or the wrong one entirely: the tax question nobody asks. Let's start with the thing that almost no advisor brings up, and it's the single biggest determinant of whether a fund is right for you. Before you compare a single fund, you need to answer one question: what's your tax residency going to look like in 6 years? Here's why this matters. A Golden Visa fund that's perfect for a German retiree planning to move to the Algarve can be actively financially destructive for an American family that's keeping US tax residency. Why? Because of something called PFIC rules, Passive Foreign Investment Company rules. If you're a US person and you invest the wrong structure of Portuguese fund, the IRS taxes you punitively on phantom gains every year, regardless of whether the fund actually distributes anything. I've seen Americans get hit with tax bills that wiped out 40% of their fund returns because their advisor never asked about their tax situation. Australians have a different problem: foreign investment fund rules. Brits have their own treatment. And if you're planning to actually become a Portuguese tax resident, certain fund structures unlock dramatically better treatment than others. So before you look at a single fund, you need clarity on 3 things: where you'll be tax resident in year 6 or 11, whether the fund's legal structure is compatible with that residency, and what your effective net return looks like after tax, not the gross number on the marketing deck. The advisor showing the same 3 funds to every client is, by definition, getting this wrong for most of them. And this is the filter that disqualifies more funds for more people than any of the others combined. But here's the thing: even if you nail the tax piece, there's a second filter that catches most people after they've invested. And it's the one I'd lose sleep over if I were writing a 500,000 euro check: exit mechanics. 5 years is a legal minimum holding period for a Golden Visa fund, though many funds are structured with a 6-year term. The marketing material always says 6-year fund. What the marketing material rarely says clearly is what happens at year 6. This is where people get burned. Some funds have extension clauses the manager can trigger unilaterally, meaning they can hold your money for 7, 8, even 9 years if they decide market conditions aren't favorable for selling. Some funds have a defined wind down period, but no guaranteed liquidity event. Some have a secondary market clause that sounds reassuring until you realize there's no actual buyer on the other side. When you're reading a fund prospectus, here's what to look for. 1. Is there a defined termination date or just a target date? 2. Who has the authority to extend the fund and under what conditions? 3. At termination, what's the mechanism for returning the capital? We will sell the underlying assets is not a mechanism. We have a contractual wind down period of 18 months with quarterly distributions backed by a defined liquidity strategy is a mechanism. 4. Is there a redemption option before year 6 in case of emergency, and what's the penalty? I've reviewed funds where the manager can effectively hold investor capital indefinitely as long as they vote to extend. That's not an investment. That's a hostage situation with a Golden Visa attached. And with Portugal's citizenship timeline now extended to 10 years for new applicants, exit mechanics matter even more. You need to think about what happens at years 7, 8, 9, and 10, not just year 6. And the thing is, if this filter alone eliminates a meaningful number of the 39 approved funds, but it's still not the common reason people end up with the wrong fund. The most common reason is the next filter, and it's the one your advisor definitely doesn't want you thinking about. Manager track record in this asset class. Every Golden Visa fund pitch deck has a team page, impressive bios, big firm logos, decades of experience. Here's what you actually need to ask. How many prior funds has this exact team closed in this exact asset class with realized returns? Not projected returns, not paper returns, realized. As in, the fund completed, investors got their money back, and you can verify the IRR. A manager who ran a successful private equity fund in Brazil 10 years ago is not the same as a manager who has actually deployed and exited a Portugal-focused fund in the current regulatory environment. A team that came together 6 months ago to launch a Golden Visa fund, even if each individual has a great resume, has zero track record as a team in this fund in this market. This is not automatically disqualifying. First-time fund managers can be excellent, but the fee structure should reflect the risk you're taking on with them. If a first fund manager is charging the same 2 and 20 fees as an established player with 3 closed funds and proven returns, you're being overcharged for unproven execution risk. Ask for the realized track record. If they hand you a deck with projections instead of realizations, that's your answer. Strategy you can explain in 2 sentences. Filter 4 is the simplest one, and it's a brutal filter. If the fund manager cannot explain the strategy to you in 2 minutes in plain language you understand, walk away. Golden Visa funds run wildly different strategies: venture capital, private credit, infrastructure, listed equities, hospitality, agriculture, renewable energy. The risk profiles are not comparable. A private credit fund yielding 6% steady is a fundamentally different product from a venture fund swinging for 25% IRR, with most of the portfolio going to zero. Here's the test. After the call, can you describe to your spouse in 1 sentence what the fund actually does to make money? They invest in Portuguese growth companies is not an answer. They provide working capital loans to mid-sized Portuguese exporters at 9% interest secured against receivables is an answer. If you can't pass that test, it's not because you're not smart enough. It's because the manager is hiding complexity, or worse, they don't fully understand the strategy themselves. Either way, that's not a fund you want 500,000 euros in for 6 years. Fees that don't eat the return. Last filter, and it's the one people underestimate the most. Typical fund structure, 1 to 2% annual management fee, 10 to 20% performance fee above a hurdle, plus subscription fees, exit fees, and sometimes administration fees. Added up over 6 years on a 500,000 euro investment, and you're easily looking at 60,000 euros to 100,000 euros in total fees. Note, new applicants under the 10-year citizenship rule face a much longer horizon. Fees could reach 150,000 to 200,000 plus over the full residency period. That's fine if the net return justifies it. It's not fine if you're paying private equity grade fees for what's effectively a glorified money market fund. The right way to evaluate fees is not to look at the headline percentage. It's to model the net return, gross IRR minus all fees minus tax over the full holding period, and compare that to what you'd get from a boring index fund over the same 6 years. If the Golden Visa fund's net return doesn't beat the index fund by enough to compensate for the illiquidity and the regulatory risk, the fund is not actually a good investment. It's just another vehicle for getting residency that happens to lose you money slowly. That's an acceptable trade for some investors. It's a disaster for others. Which group you're in depends on filter 1, your tax situation, which is exactly why we started there.